Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so excited to be here with all of you during MLH and INIT. For those of you who might be new to the ecosystem or who haven't met me, I am Aditya. I'm one of the coaches from India, and I am absolutely stoked to be with all of you. I'm seeing the buzz in the chat, absolutely loving it. You're all awesome for being here, by the way. Yeah, so while of course we are getting ready to begin, there's just a few steps before I jump into the session that I would like to show with all of you. So let me put my StreamYard here on the side and I'll bring up my screen once. All right. So the first thing that we all need to do before we hop over into anything at all is, of course, check in for day one. We are in day one. This is the last session of day one, and that's really cool. We've been through day one already, and we had some amazing sessions here. We had content with, of course, Jack. We had Sashika. We had Hannah. It's been amazing. It's been a lovely day. So first step is to make sure that if you haven't checked into day one, you should go ahead and do that. That will be a good idea. I will share the link here in the chat as well for all of you. Using this link, you can check in for day one. All you need to do is hop over. You'll see a button, register and check in here. Or if you've registered already, then you might just see a button just to check in. All right. And in that case, all you need to do is you need to make sure you're checked in for day one. Then you can directly scroll from here. And in this day schedule, all you need to do is click on build a calculator. So it's the same process here. You need to go ahead, you need to check in here on this day, of course, and make sure you do these, because checking in on the day and on every single day's check-in is what gets you that amazing surprise pack of stickers. And of course, by checking into all of these events, you are earning points for yourself and for your guild. So let me also share the link for this specific channels check, for the specific sessions check-in as well. And okay, I think I've got a wrong link in there. Sorry about that. Let me just bring on the right link here. You should have it in the chat by now, so you can see the correct link in the chat. And I will just add this up here on screen as well. Here. So, you can go ahead and you can check in on that. And I'm going to give you all a couple of minutes while you still get through this. So in the meantime, I would love to know how you're all doing and how everything has been for you. I think in case, I hope you're all checked in by now. That would be absolutely lovely. And okay, so Mr. Blaz, of course, mentions tired but awake. I'm not even surprised that that's happening. It's of course been a very long day, I'm sure. Right. And yeah, okay, so this is the MLH, this is the coach's t-shirt. That's what I'm wearing right now. Anurag wants me to already build a calculator. My t-shirt, Prabhat, is not a swag. It's something that all MLHers have. And yes, those are the surface earbuds. So I'll tell you what, I'll just share the link once again for all of you to check out. And in the meantime, I will tell you a little about what we're going to be doing here today. So as of course, I believe the session title is pretty self-explanatory. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be learning how to build a calculator. And mind you all, this is something I myself have never done in the past. As much as I've been hacking, as much as I've been building, I have never actually developed a calculator. So we're going to build a calculator today. And I think it's going to be nice. It's going to be fun. Now, I do want to mention that all of you are free to build it in platforms, technologies of your preference. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build a mobile app using Xamarin. So Xamarin is coming back, bringing Xamarin back here. And that's what we're going to be using to build a calculator. So I think it's going to be fun. And is my audio low? Is it troublesome? Okay, if audio is cool, then that's all right. So yeah, we're gonna start off with the basic calculator with add, subtract, multiply, that sort of stuff, and then we're gonna take it a notch up. So after we are done, after we start with these basics, and as we move forward, we'll see what else we can do, and we'll also try some. We'll try some stuff. It's gonna be great, you know. So I hope you're all just as excited as I am. I am definitely looking forward to building this really cool solution, and I can't wait to see what, of course, how this entire process goes. And yes, you can use Python. You can use any language, any technology of your preference. Totally cool. It's all on you. Okay. So I personally am gonna be using C Sharp and .NET, of course, because Xamarin, but you yeah, Runang on point. But you're free to use whatever you want. That is totally your personal preference, and I'm definitely cool with you building on any technology stack of your preference. So I'll tell you what, folks. As I start building, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna bring the screen over to the side. So do keep your questions coming in. I would absolutely love that. I will be taking them at the end, however. So just to keep you all in the loop before we jump to that. Okay. Yeah. Once again, we're gonna start off with the basic calculator, and then we'll see what all other functions we can try and think of adding. And I think it's gonna be cool. But we're gonna start off with the basic calculator. You Yeah. Okay. If you've never done that, I'll tell you what, the IDE and the setup that you basically need is Visual Studio. So what I'll do is I will throw in the link for you to download Visual Studio. At the same time, once you have Visual Studio, you can actually download all the necessary details from there itself. It's not gonna be VS Code, however, it's gonna be Visual Studio IDE. So here is the link in the chat. And yeah, just saying, even if I am building with Xamarin, but you don't want to do that, you want to do it something else entirely, you can work with any languages, any technologies of your preference. In fact, the wackier the better. So I'd love to see you all build something really cool. And and I'm seeing a few questions around the GUI, so that's also something that I'm going to be trying and trying to make here, definitely. Okay, so let's get started now. Here I've brought my screen back again. Let me know as soon as you're all able to see it. Also, so Rico, while .NET itself is open source, it is freely available for all. It's not possible. I don't believe it's possible to build with Xamarin on Linux because an aspect of Xamarin, apart from Android and iOS, is Windows applications. And due to this reason, they've only got support for Visual Studio. So if you have a Mac or Windows, then that is the one that is what you use to build Xamarin applications. If you have Linux, Xamarin might not be possible, but there's always different technologies you can work with. Be it web-based. I'm not sure if other mobile technologies are supported. I've never tried it on Linux. I'm just a heavy Windows user, so that's really the thing with me. But I'm okay. I haven't tried this solution in the past. If it works, that's awesome because like this seems like it's a .NET ID, and yeah, we have .NET IDs online. It's just that with Xamarin, it becomes a little bit of a thing where you're building on your device. So I'm gonna go ahead and go on to create a new project for myself now. If you've got Visual Studio downloaded, the next thing you need to do is go up here in templates. You can just search mobile. As soon as okay, seems like I jumped ahead. Yeah. So as soon as you search, you're gonna see mobile app. You're gonna see Android. You're gonna see iOS. You're gonna see a variety of these. What I want you to is, if you're following along on Xamarin, you'll go ahead with mobile app. And I'm sure if you're on screen, this is the first time you're seeing Xamarin. I guess it's somewhat explanatory in one way. Xamarin is, and because I think all of these different tags here, Android, iOS, and Windows are available. So Xamarin here, I think, should be slightly implicit. It is a cross-platform mobile app framework that is built on .NET. It essentially utilizes .NET, and it's great in its own way because when you're building with Xamarin, you have access to the entire .NET ecosystem. So amazing platform in its own place. And when you're working with Xamarin, since it's .NET based, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using C Sharp throughout this session. Um, that being said, I'm seeing a few queries around whether you want to build it with Java FX, or I think I saw a few folks with Python as well. Yes, you can go ahead, you can build with any of these. That is totally all right. And I'd be very happy to see that. I mean, I'll tell you what, even towards the end, if you build along and you're able to get a project made, be it on Xamarin, be it on any other technology, I'd love to bring you on and have you share your projects as well. So it's definitely going to be great. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and start creating my template at least. We'll just name this calculator. I guess that's a good enough name. Um, what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead, browse. I'm just going to create this on my desktop. We're gonna go ahead, click on create, and out of these, now you can see that if you're following along for Xamarin, you'll see that there are these different templates that we have available. One, of course, is the flyout. Then, of course, we have the tab template, but we want none of those. So what we're gonna go ahead with is a blank empty act with just a single initial screen. And this, of course, is a project that we can build for different platforms, Android, iOS, and Windows. So why not? Let's go ahead with all three of them. So in the meantime, it's gonna go ahead and create a project for me. Now, yeah, so I know that colleges make you use switch case, and something similar is gonna come in later when we get to the logic, at least when it comes to the operators. An aspect of it will probably not need that. Yeah, so that's loaded. I am creating an app, you can create anything. Even if you make a console application, that is totally all right. It's just I am making an app here along with all of you on screen. So please feel free to build with whatever you want. That's totally all right. And if you're downloading Visual Studio right now, go ahead for the community one. That one is available for free to all. So professional is of course it's one of the paid versions because it has dedicated enterprise offerings. So you should go ahead and go for the community one. Hi. That's a good plan. I'm waiting for Windows 11 myself, then I'll upgrade. Yep, that's what we're going to be doing. Okay, so I guess it's created a little template app for me. As you can see, we have solutions for all three different platforms, and then there is, of course, this little aspect here that does not have any such ending here. So I'm just going to tell you a bit about what this essentially signifies. Let me just close it up once. So the way our Xamarin works is that we have individual solutions, of course, for all the different platforms. And what these do is that they have a shared UI and a shared logic here. So Xamarin acts as an abstraction layer there, allowing you to build for all of these platforms. That being said, of course, if you need to add any dedicated platform features, you can directly do so as well. But with Xamarin Forms, we don't all. In a lot of cases, we don't need to jump to the native solutions for every little detail. So we can actually create these applications using C Sharp and XAML. XAML is of course there for the UI, and C Sharp is what we write our business logic in. You can also create UI features using C Sharp directly, and that does become a very useful tool later on. But at this point of time, that's not something that is necessary for us. I'm gonna change my target device here as well to Android because we're gonna be using a mobile emulator along with us. All right. And I'm right now, don't worry, I'm just going to talk a little about Xamarin and just show you the hello world. And we're going to move ahead and start building in another 5 minutes, because I know a few folks are actively installing, which is cool. In the meantime, I'll take a few queries here. I'll just get the hello world up and running, and I'll start off with a few queries. I think that should be cool. Okay, so first of all, great question that has come up. What is the difference between Visual Studio and VS Code? So VS Code is a code editor. It has a lot of offerings, a lot of extensions, amazing features, which actually make it very powerful when you're building for a lot of different platforms. But Visual Studio Code and Visual Studio are different in the sense Visual Studio is a full IDE for anything .NET. You've got offerings for Unity. If you're building solutions for Azure, then it's a great tool that you can have. VS Code is just a code editor at the end of the day. So that is the primary difference. And as you know, as you're open with this, I'm sure you can see a few differences that, we've got, of course, a very different UI. There are features here to build solutions and debug them. And, we've got all of these, right? So it's different in that sense. And yeah, Visual Studio Code does not support Xamarin as of this point of time. That is not there right now. It's only supported on Visual Studio IDE, because VS Code is essentially an editor, while Visual Studio is a full IDE. So when you need to compile, when you need to build these solutions, you need Visual Studio for that. Where should we submit? I'm going to get to the submission as well. That's something we will definitely cover as towards the end of the session. Even if you're not aware of C#, I promise you the code that we're going to do is very simple. So you should be able to follow along. And if you want to build in a language of your preference, please feel free to do that. That's totally cool. In the meantime, I'm also going to get the Hello World app, and I'll just show you how these things work. So, that I think will give you a better understanding of what's happening here right now. Is it? I am going to be using C#. And yeah, that's a great point. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to magnify the text. I think this will also do one thing. Yeah, this should make things easier. And it's not necessary to build an app or a Xamarin app. You can build a web app, you can build a Chrome extension. We're just building a calculator. It can be a console app as well. That's totally on you. And the device for testing, so I'm going to be using an Android emulator here to test what I'm building. That's going to be what I use today. So now, as you can see, that first it's building the application for now. I do want to add that whenever you're building here, the first time you build it does take a little more time than the rest, and the next time it's going to be a lot easier. Definitely, it's going to be a lot quicker. You can build in any language of your preference. I think I just saw the increased font size, but is this legible now? Are you able to read properly? Oh, so our Hello World application is up and running. Right, this is nice. And it's gone pretty large. So I'm sure this should be easy for you all to see right now. Right. So what this is essentially a Pixel 3 emulator running Android 9. And I'm going to show you what we have here in this Hello World solution. So basically, if you look at the screen right now, you will see that in XAML, we have a little frame with a background color and a label. Label is basically, just your text there. And what happens here is that, this here contains the heading we have. So as you can see the code right now, you will see that, we've got our label with welcome to Xamarin Forms, and, we have our font size and all of these details here. And similarly, as I scroll down, you will see similarities in the text. Okay, the debugger is up now. I'm just gonna bring this lower. You know, oops, I think it's redeploying once. That was an older deployed version. Sorry about that. But it's gonna deploy the exact same thing essentially. Yeah, while that happens, is it okay to submit two projects in calculator? You it's if you can of course submit two projects, that's totally all right. You can feel free to do that. um I'm not sure if it's going to provide you extra benefit in terms of points, but yes, why not? Go ahead. If you built that, amazing. And this isn't Flutter or Java Kotlin. This is Xamarin. It's another cross-platform framework that uses C Sharp and .NET. And can we change phone? I mean, this is the emulator I have right now, and with an application like this, it won't make too much of a difference. Um, so I guess we can let it be for now. That shouldn't be a problem. And yeah, I can just make changes here, and I can add a little. I can change this label to just say hi everyone. And I believe we've got hot reload here as well. So as I say hi, okay, let's say hi MLH init. We will see the changes reflected here as well, which is definitely very cool. So great solution, to build and learn together. And I hope you're all also getting your IDs and your solutions getting installed, because as soon as that's done, we're gonna hop into building the calculator. So let me know in the chat, if you've got that installed. In the meantime, I see a few other questions. Is Xamarin better than Java, Kotlin in general, or are there other reasons? My personal reason to prefer this is because I'm a regular C Sharp and .NET developer. So I'm working with ASP.NET. I'm working with .NET Core for cloud work on Azure. I'm working with, of course, with Xamarin. You can do Windows development with this. So it provides me that sort of an advantage. And Xamarin does allow you to have a very close to native development. It doesn't give you hybrid apps. It gives you fully native apps. So it's good in its own way. Of course, if you're building dedicatedly just for Android or just for iOS, if you use Java, Kotlin, or Swift for your work, they have their own advantages because that is the dedicated native platform. But like for me, Xamarin works well because it's cross-platform, and I just regularly work with C Sharp and .NET. And yeah, that's because you can't actually run a Xamarin project in VS Code, as we discussed earlier. You need Visual Studio IDE for that. You can't run it in VS Code. That's unfortunately not going to be possible. Okay, so I'm just going to take this off for now. Let's just stop debugging for the time being. Yeah, .NET is fully open source. It's up there on GitHub. You can always do that. So I'm just going to take you through this process once again. When you start off and when you open Visual Studio for the first time, you're going to see a little page here which allow where you can just click on create a new project. As you reach here, just go ahead, search for mobile, and you're going to see mobile app Xamarin Forms. That is the one you have to click on. If it's asking for development settings, I just go you go ahead with C Sharp. That's what we're building with. And once you select on mobile apps Xamarin Forms, you can put in your project name. Go ahead and okay, I'm not gonna close this for now. After this, what happens is the next thing that you see is it's gonna ask you what template you want to use, and we're just gonna go with the blank template. Don't select any of the other options. Just go ahead with the fully blank one. That is the one we're gonna go ahead with. And if you're thinking about downloading, so the thing that folks were downloading right now was the Visual Studio IDE. I will send over that link once again in the chat. So you can go ahead and build this in your own time as well. Or if you want to learn C Sharp and want to work with .NET and Xamarin for Windows development, then Visual Studio is going to be your go-to. I believe JetBrains Rider is pretty nice as well. I haven't worked with that, but that's also an option you can check out. Okay, so Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start creating our UI for the calculator. So first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna slightly zoom out because I just want to navigate the code as well, and I'm gonna remove this entire stack layout because what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be working with something that we call a grid, where we're gonna be using a grid, of course. And with and this entire thing, one thing that's very convenient is that we've actually got all a little toolbox here with us, which shows us various UI features that we can directly add as well. So it shows us if we want something like an editor, an entry, a label, all of these we can directly drag and drop here and add in our XAML content. If you're not able to see Xamarin mobile app and you've just installed, yeah, we're gonna start off with a blank app. If you're not able to see Xamarin mobile app, what you'll have to do is just go to tools and click on get tools and features. And from the Visual Studio installer, what will happen is I have to update it. Please don't mind that. um, yeah, so you just need to click on mobile development with .NET and go ahead on that option. That's gonna install the Xamarin for you. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna just drag off our grid here. And of course, the grid allows us to define our UI here because with the calculator on the phone, if you all see, we've got that and nice grid-like UI, right? So that's exactly what we're gonna be building. Now, what I'm gonna do next is first things first, I'm gonna create a little label for us. And with this label, this is going to be the label where we get our result and we get all of our other details, where we essentially get the response whenever we use our calculator. Let me also see if the design is working, because in one of the recent updates there was a little issue, so there might be a slight problem where yeah. I'm not going to be able to get designer up right now because this got kind of messy in one of the more recent updates. But no worries, I'm gonna keep showing you the built version from time to time so you can see what the UI looks like and how we're getting about it. So right now, of course, what we don't want to add too much text there, and we wanna keep this clear for now. But one thing I'm definitely gonna do is, oops, one I just realized it needs to be within the grid, of course. Sorry about that. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add, I'm gonna mention name here. All this thing does is it basically allows me to add a name to this label. So it's like how you would keep a name for your variable, right? So just in this way, it allows me to name my label, and I'm gonna give it a little font size, I guess. So, for the font size, I guess we can keep it at, I'm just gonna keep random values now. We're gonna change, I'm just some generic values that I have in mind, and we're gonna change this later on. So you don't need to worry too much about it. Okay. This is just something I'm trying right now. So you don't need to worry too much about that. For the background color, we're gonna keep this, we get all of these different options. I'm gonna keep this as black because I want this to be separate from the rest of the calculator. Okay, so we're gonna keep this as black. And let's see what else we can do. Font attributes, we'll keep this as bold. I think that sounds good. So for now, we've got a few little things here. And in fact, text can be blank. We can also keep it 0. So, with this label, what's going to happen is if I run this right now, you're going to see a little label of black background that says 0 to you. That's all this is going to do right now. Yeah, so as this, runs for me, what's going to happen is that, this is going to load up and it's going to show just a label with the text 0 and, oh, it's going to be a black background. And I just realized I forgot to set the font color. We're going to have to set the color as well for our, sorry, this is not font color, it's text color. Yeah. Yeah, so right now if you see the entire thing is black because what it's treating this is as as if the entire display is just the one label. So but you can see that we've got a little black 0 there, and if suppose I was to add another label similar to this, but if I just change the color to blue, for example, you would, oh, 1 second, result 2, you would see that we have something else here entirely. Now we have a grid, so right now let me just add a few attributes here for our rows, of course. This entire experience can at times get very, very, very frustrating as well, because I'm personally I'm not a UI UX person, but of course important aspects. So I'm just going to keep this as grid row 0 and grid row 1. Now if you see, you can see that there are two distinct rows, because earlier what it had been doing is it had been overlapping these on top of each other. I see folks are having some trouble getting started with this. So what's going to happen is when you start Visual Studio, after you've installed it fully, what you're going to see is you're going to see something like this screen here that says get started. So you need to go and create a new project. And from there on, you move forward. So yeah, this is going to look so good. I really hope it looks good, because this is always, the UI is something that always makes me nervous. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on my buttons, because of course without our number buttons we're not going to have a calculator, right? If you're seeing VS Code, I think I mentioned earlier, this is not Visual Studio Code, it's Visual Studio IDE. If you scroll up, you're going to find the link for it as well, but this is very different from Visual Studio Code. So I guess I can share the link once again with all of you, and yeah, then you can accordingly go ahead and set this up. Yeah. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start setting up my buttons now. And these buttons, of course, are very important here, because what they're going to be doing is, this is going to be a numeric keypad, right? Now, typically in a calculator, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 7, 8, 9 first, and then 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3, just like our keyboard layouts, right? So let's set this up now. Let's add 7. I'm gonna add the grid row number. Now, this time, because our entire top row comprises of our header label, so I'm gonna keep this as row 1, and I'm also gonna set the column here. In fact, I'm gonna give this grid column 1. No, sorry, column 0. This is gonna be the leftmost. And after that, we can again give it some settings, like of course font size like 6. You can keep text color. In this case, I'm gonna keep it black because my background here is not gonna be black. For my background, let's say we're gonna take a different color here. I'm thinking we can keep something. If we have orange here, yeah, we'll keep it as a shade of orange. So that's what we're gonna keep. And right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna copy this for a second and it's just gonna give us 3 more versions of this here. Of course, gonna add 8 and 9. The row here needs to be same, of course, but we're gonna need to change the columns. Otherwise, they're just gonna overlap with each other, right? So I'm just gonna do that here once. I'm again gonna copy this entire set because we're gonna need this, of course, for 4, 5, 6 as well, right? Here, of course, our columns are gonna remain the same as we had, but we're gonna change the row number. So I'm gonna show you how this looks like. Just as soon as we've got 4, 5, 6 in here. I'm gonna give you a little. I'll just show this to you what it looks like. So right now, if we compile, it's gonna reload the app for us, and it's found the emulator. Just outputting and building right now. All right. So what I see is like we've got a few queries here. Okay. So if as you can see, that we as we created these buttons, we can see these are created here. You can see that that little label is not totally it's just stuck in that first column. That's because we never gave for this we're just gonna add. Of course, we will keep it in the first column, of course. There was 0, but we're gonna give it a little column span so that way it can go over multiple columns. And of course, I think right now, we just see three buttons there. I'm gonna give it 4 because we're gonna have some plus, minus, or such operators on the side. So I'm just gonna give it a column span of 4. And now as you can see, it's extended over and we have our buttons here in this format. If your toolbox is coming up empty, okay, if your toolbox is coming up empty, you might need to go back and check, whether your mobile development tools for .NET have all installed properly. Otherwise, once that is done, this is something that comes up on its own. It's not something that is separately installed. So you might need to look into your Xamarin installation once. So just restart your browser as well. Maybe that if you just installed, that might help. These functionalities that we have, these are basically our UI features here. And these ones, of course, this is specific. This is primarily specific to XAML, XAML, that is extensible application markup language. It's a markup language as well that is used here. It is also used in the universal Windows platform. So this is a standard for here. Now, of course, if you go over to Android, for example, that uses XML, which is similar. It's another markup language, but it's not the same. So that's what happens. And if you're having trouble running this, you can also, I'll tell you what, you can also, of course, review the video afterwards. Or if you go over to YouTube right now, the MLH YouTube, with that, of course, you can rewind and check as well. So I will recommend doing that. Now I'm going to quickly go ahead. I'm going to create 1, 2, 3 as well. Let's just copy this once again. It's good to copy paste from time to time. It helps you not write redundant code. So yeah, I'm just gonna name these. And now I'm just gonna show you why it's important to make sure you check what row and column you've kept. Otherwise, what's gonna happen is my 1, 2, 3 are overlapped over 4, 5, 6 right now. But the moment I change this to 3 in the next row, 2 and 3 are still stuck up there because I Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that slight electricity cut. I hope I'm audible once again. Hopefully that should be okay. Let me check my network. I've switched networks. Yeah, I froze in the middle. I guess I'm back now. The last thing I guess that I was saying was it's good to copy paste from time to time. It just saves you a lot of time. Um, am I only audible and not visible right now? Okay, folks, just give me a minute. I'm just sorting out my network because I've just had an electricity cut right now. I'm just gonna give it a second and I'm just gonna be back in a minute. I'm so sorry, folks. I did not realize I wasn't audible. Very, very sorry about that. I hope you can hear me now. Okay. Unfortunately, this happens from time to time. But I haven't spoken too much about this. I just made the next few parts of the keypad. So it wouldn't be too much of a loss right now. So, we're through a chunk of our keypad, which is awesome. Now, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add, of course, our the operators. That's what we're gonna do next. So, what I'm gonna do here is, since we have four rows, I'm gonna add plus, minus, divide the division and the multiplication signs here, and I'm gonna add these on the side. So for that, I'm gonna need about four of these. Here we have them. Now, right now, first I'm just gonna start by changing the text here. things. And of course, we're gonna have, well, I mean, I don't have the divides. I can't see the divide sign right now. But I'm just gonna keep the slash for now. I guess that is decently representative. So I guess we should be okay on that end. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep these in our four rows that we have. I'm gonna keep these in our four rows that we have. But with all of these, the column is gonna be, we're gonna have the column as three in all of them. So what that's gonna do is all of this numeric keypad that we had earlier that we made, it's gonna line up just beside that, and it's gonna show up very nicely and comfortably. So if you see right now, that's what we have here. Okay, I forgot to change. I changed the wrong thing here. Oops. Yeah, this needs to be gone. Plus, where is this going wrong? Oh, yeah, the row needs to be 4. Sorry about that. So our numeric keypad, our overall entry is ready. I guess there's just one little thing left to our calculator. That of course is the C button and the equal to button. Because we need a C that clears up our the entire setting. It's gonna reset the calculator, and we need an equal to sign because of course that's what will ensure that we get the result. So I'm gonna add those two just below as well. Once again, a little more of copy paste. Copy paste you need in life. Like every now and then, it's just necessary. One thing we're gonna do is we're gonna change the color for this. Let's see. I'll tell you what. You all mention which color you want for these, so I'm gonna add that color. How does that sound? I'm just gonna add the row. Keep this as 1. I'm gonna add a column span equal to 2 because we wanted to span 2 rows. Again, similarly, columns and will be 2 for this. This I guess would be the 5th row, not the 4th. And yeah, this is just gonna be 0 and 2. But you want blue, black, violet, purple, red, blue. We've got blue and purple. I guess what we can do is we can do a lighter blue. That would be nice. Or we can always look at the different colors. You can actually see the color here that I'm gonna be trying to add as well. So like, if I add this, you can see the color here on the left. I'm gonna keep, let's see, we can try both of these and then decide which one looks better. Because, why not? If you look at this right now, you'll see we've got 2 colors, and I'll tell you what, these look fantastic. We can just keep both of these as is. I think they look absolutely lovely. And one more thing we can do is, because right now these are all very large and the entry is there. So I'll tell you what, column span is there. I'm gonna also change the row span for this. And I'm gonna make that 2. And in the meantime, let me remove the font size for now. It makes it really small. But yeah, okay. For that, of course, we need a little more of changing there. But okay, let's just let it be to what it was earlier. We can play around later on. But yeah, our UI is to an extent ready. There's just a few things we need to do. Like for the label, I'm just gonna put it to the absolute right side. And I guess, that right side should be okay. So for that, what you need to do is among horizontal options, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna keep it at, we can just keep it at end. Let's see what that does for us. As soon as I do that, it puts it there. Okay, so we did not want that. We're just gonna keep it at fill and expand for now. We'll look at text alignment later. But I guess, I just realized I aligned the button with the text alignment is separate. Sorry about that. Horizontal text alignment, we can keep at the end. So if we put it at the end, it puts it on the right side. For vertical, we're gonna keep it centered. So, center is cool. Center is of course there. So this way, it comes up on the right side. X dot name is just like how, you would have a name for a variable. So that's essentially what it does. Now we've got our UI, of course, but we want to make sure that these buttons actually work, right? Because right now, if you just click on these, it just clicks around and that's all it does. There's nothing else that's really happening. So what we can do now is I'm gonna add a little attribute here that is called on clicked, and for this I think I'll have to close this once. But with the attribute I'm gonna add now, and yeah, this does not go to the label, sorry. This had to go to the button below. But what this little attribute here, it's not on clicked, it's clicked. Now what this attribute does is it allows us to add an event handler and bind this button to a method. So it can be button clicked or anything else for that matter. And as soon as this happens, if I go to my business logic behind this UI, we actually have this directly here. So as I clicked on this YAML, you can see that we have a little .cs file here that is directly attached to our XAML. You can always separate these as well. On more complex solutions, you do end up separating these. But if you scroll up above, you'll see that the class for this content page here, this YAML file, is calculator.main page. Main page is a class, calculator is the namespace. So this actually is the class that will be connected with our little with the UI. Sorry, yeah, sorry, brain freeze. That happens, right? And just an example of what of what the X name does. If you see, as I type here, you know, we're gonna have result text here I'm gonna show, because that's exactly what we're gonna be modifying. So I mean if I go there and I keep in mind our current object, I believe that's how, yeah, this dot result was the name of that label, right? So if I just go to this dot result and I add 7 there, for example, on any button that's clicked, even for that matter, if all I want to do is I want to just add something like, let's just set a button, because I guess this is something that we want for our all our buttons. So we can keep, sorry, we don't want a new one. We've got a button there, and that is our sender, of course, right? So what we can just do is we can keep sender dot um, dot text. Been a while since I worked with Xamarin. Damn, we're getting some sort of an error here. Ooh, it doesn't need this. then that shouldn't be the reason for an error here, should it? I'm actually, oh, that's fine. Yeah, that should be okay now. I'm still not sure why I'm getting a little, yeah, exactly. That cleared up for us now. So, if I just click on any button for now, what's gonna happen here is that this is just gonna add the text to that result. It's just gonna add whatever text is there in any of these buttons. So like you remember how we set this text attribute for each of these buttons? What's gonna happen now is if I click on any of the buttons as soon as this loads up. So if you see it added 7, and it only adds 7 right now because we've not actually added this to any of our other little values. But if I go back, I just copy this. All I've got to do is copy this nice little line. We're going to keep the same event handler on all of these. So if I just copy this nice little line to, I'm just going to copy it till 5 for now. But if you see on 8, 9, 6, it doesn't work on 6, but 5, 4, you can see it's changing there, right? So that's exactly because we added this event handler to a function called button underscore clicked, which refers to this function here. I can change this button name. So I'm actually going to do that right now, and I'm going to change it to, let's say, number clicked. I'm going to keep it number clicked because we're going to have something separate for our for the rest of our stuff. But yeah, let me just change this for now. I can easily just change all of these here in Visual Studio. It's very convenient working with this. So as I go now, I've just saved this here. I'm gonna have to reload once because this wasn't a little UI change. This was a change in the business logic. So as I reload, it's gonna show that it's gonna update that and let me use the newly named button here. In the meantime, I look at the queries. Great questions, Rahil. So a namespace is similar to how a package works. It basically allows you to group different classes under one specific tag. That's what a namespace is. It's like a package essentially. Except I mean, your namespace isn't just restricted to just a directory. So it even across folders it can change, and within one entire project we can have different namespaces depending on where our file is kept. It helps in organizing. That's what it really does. Oops, I see my Slack notifications are open. Yeah, big congrats to Jack. If you've seen Twitter, she has been selected for the Diana Award, which is awesome. I'm just gonna quit this for now. And Discord. Yeah. So yes, back to our number clicked. We'll just set this to all our different numbers specifically. And what I'm gonna do now is, we're gonna make a little change here to our business logic, and instead of instead of just adding just the specific number, what we'll do instead is we're gonna form a number with these, right? That's what we want to do at the end of the day. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start adding the text. So all I need to do is change this to a plus equal to, and as I do this, what's gonna happen is it's gonna allow me to form my text. Of course, I'll tell you what, in just to save us a little bit of time here, what I'm gonna do next is I'm just gonna also declare my variables for the numbers, because we're gonna be working with two values, right? We're gonna make it for two values first. That's what we're gonna do. Of course, with the calculator that adds multiple numbers continuously, or works with these operators, that's of course amazing. But we're gonna start with working on something a little more basic. So I'm just gonna create two numbers for now. This number and second number. Okay. And I'm gonna create a little function for myself that is pivot void on clear. This is also gonna be the trigger for our clear click. So we can actually change the format of how we've named these to. I'm just gonna change the format to something that is a little more traditionally better for, like, it's just a more traditional convention for naming of functions in C#. I'm just gonna use this to initialize my variables with the number 0. So that's all this is gonna do for now. And I see I messed up the spelling of second. Oof. So for now this is all that's gonna do. Because what's gonna happen is that as we keep forming a number, what we want at the end of the day is that we're able to store it in one of these numbers, right? Now, in order to keep track between our two numbers when we're clicking on the operator and we're going ahead with that, we also want to make sure that we are able to understand what state the application is in at all points of time. So I'm just going to keep another little variable here that is called state. And what I'm going to do is when I initialize this, I'm going to initialize this with the value 1 for now. That's just what I'm going to do. Okay. And again, we're going to do the same here. We're going to add this to our state. And I'm going to tell you why I'm doing this right now. So what's going to happen is, when we keep clicking the number, it's going to take the result as soon as we click on a variable there. We want that value. We want the state to change, so that as soon as the state of a number changes, it stores the existing value of our button in that particular number. And of course we're able to ensure that the number we're typing is stored in those two separate variables, and instead of a specific one. So that's just in order to maintain that. Now what we're going to do next is, like, right now, of course, this is just forming a number which is going ahead, and that's totally all right. I'm also in the meantime going to add on clear here. What this will do is it will make sure that these values are always initialized. And actually, if I think about it, this is gonna be an event handler as well. So I'm just gonna add our event arguments here, and all I'll do is I'll just set this is this, which is gonna ensure that it's just the class that's calling this, and nothing more, just our instance. And the event arguments are of course null here, so we don't need to worry about that, right? In this case, we can also add this here, because that'll make sure that our current class, just that's all that we have here. Another thing we can do to onClear is we can make sure that onClear sets our result text to 0. because whenever we reset our calculator, we want it to go to zero, right? So that's what this is doing here. All we have is we just have uh, our little, just this is just there to reset our entire application. I hope folks are able to follow along so far. I'm looking at the chat, and I see that there are queries coming in. Of course, Adam being Adam, that's just awesome. So great. And I'm just gonna move forward along with this. So far, what we have is we've got a little thing that we've got a little application that right now, if I add numbers, it's just gonna add them on my on the top label that we had set, and we have something that can clear our app, of course. So since we've created the on clear function, I'm also gonna do one thing. I'm going to add this here, and in this instance, I'll just go ahead, click. I'm going to add on clear as the event handler, and as you see, Visual Studio is smart enough; it shows me both of those there directly. So Visual Studio is fantastic that way. And yes, this entire video is going to be saved. It's going to be available for you on demand afterwards on YouTube as well. So you can always go ahead and check that. Now, of course, we're going to have separate functions for these operators because that's also something we need, right? Once we're done typing a number, we need there to be, we need there to be our of course, like we need um, there to be something to save which operator we want, and afterwards we need to transition to the other variable as well. So we're going to have a separate event handler for our operators. That's totally all right. I'm telling you, trust me. This it's just I'm just winging it and going along in this process as well. So I'm just gonna add a little thing and I'm gonna name. Let's just create a new event handler. I'm gonna change this name here. So as you see, it created one for me. I'm just gonna change the name to on operator click. And I just realized we're gonna need something for our operator as well, right? Let's just keep a string there for our operator. That's gonna be good. And this is also something that I'll just, although this is not necessarily something that will actually hurt, but okay, why am I seeing errors there? Oh, I'm just gonna, I'm honestly not sure why I'm getting an error here. It's because I stated it as operator. So I'm just gonna keep it as OP for now. Or I'll keep it as calc operator. So this is actually something, whenever we click on an operator, it's gonna assign that. But in any case, I'm gonna just gonna keep this as a little null string here, an empty string. The null string, it's an empty string. Whenever we have we have this value here, which is which is stored in the operator. What's going to happen is whenever an operator is clicked, what we want our application to do is we want the operator to get stored in, of course, this variable we have. So basically, once again, we'll have to define a button here, and what we're gonna do is we're just gonna set the calc operator as the button text, and as soon as our operator is clicked, what I'm going to do is I'm going to increment our state. So what's going to happen is that right now the state is at 1, right? The moment it gets incremented, of course, um, I'm gonna add a little function call here that is, I'm actually not a function call. What I'll do is I'll just add a condition here. If the state is equal to 2, for example, because we're starting off from 1, what we'll do is we'll store the value that we've had in our result text so far. I mean, we want to store this, but of course, this is a string, right? So we're gonna parse it here. Gonna convert to double. Okay. Of course, the equal to sign is also gonna get the same operator that we have. So I'm also gonna add another condition here. Else if that if our state is equal to 3, I want to preferably make sure that the equality sign also comes here. Of course, there can be a situation where you end up going across and have all the multiple, all you can just end up adding too many operators, which is not something we want. So the other condition I can do is, at the moment it reaches state 3, for example, we can just directly have it give us the result. And I realized I need to add an if there. I could have used the switch case there. It's totally all right. Your call. There's no harm in whichever one you prefer. I'm just gonna do the same. Just take this over. Another thing I forgot to do, and that was we need to clear up the text that is existing so that next time someone else can just you can type an actual number. Should start off with an empty value there rather than a digit already. I'm just gonna keep that empty, and this is gonna clear up our text. Of course, managing our state here. The next thing I want to add here is a function that can actually add up our value as well. So I'm gonna create another function here for us now, and what that function is gonna do is, let's just name it private void calculate value, and we're gonna keep, of course, our first, our second value, or I mean, I'm just gonna keep it as first, second. You can name it whatever you want, and we're gonna keep a string for our operator. So basically, all this function is gonna do is it's with this function, we're just gonna keep a switch case on our string, and if the case is a plus, yeah. So if if it's a plus, we will just take the sum. Double sum is equal to first plus second. And what we're going to do is we're going to show that in our result. This dot result equal to dot text equal to some dot toString. So this is going to convert it into a string. And of course, as typical fashion, we're going to keep a break here. Now, of course, we need to create multiple such cases. So I'm just going to take the liberty to copy it, make my life a little easier. And I'm going to change these now. So let's just name this as diff, stands for difference. I should have typed all the entire difference. This is cool. For multiplication, we had an x, right? So product equal to first multiplied by second. We're just going to add product there. And of course, here we had division. So the dividend, or in this case, yeah, let's just name it as divide. So, in this case, we just need to mention divide there. But that doesn't mean, our thing stops here, because the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that, we have a default case in case someone goes ahead with, with a little operator that does not exist. So in this case, all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add this result for text, and I'm just gonna add a little message there and use valid, or we can just add error, because like although it's not really a possible scenario in our case, but we might as well keep it. So sure, that's a little switch case there for us, but we do have a few steps after this as well, right? Because what we'll just do is we'll set our first number as 0, our second number as 0, and next up we'll just set our state as, we'll set our state back as 1, or in fact we'll just keep it at 2. So if anyone just messes around there, or 1, either way it works. So after this, we'd prefer if someone clears it, we'll look into that in a bit. But for now, let's see all that we have. We've got a function that adds the numbers, the values to our text. Our state is being managed there. We needed to do one little thing here. We just needed to actually calculate the value as well. So go ahead with, we don't necessarily need this dot, but why not? So I'm just gonna add first number, second number, and what was our the calc operator. And another thing we could have just done here is, after, yeah, it makes a result empty anyway. So let's add these to these little functions that we have to our application now. And I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna add these operators on operator click, and let's just copy this for now. And again, I'm just telling beforehand, I've never done this in the past, so chances are I've gone very badly wrong somewhere as well. And we're gonna see that, and we're gonna try it out and hope it works. That's hacking for you. So yeah, let's run the emulator once and hope for the best. It's gonna build, it's gonna build. Okay, so let's see, we've got this forming a little value. I'm just gonna click on plus once, 853, and it gives me an error. Lovely. Damn, that was eventful. Let's see where we went wrong. So if I go ahead and I look at this right now, operator is supposed, I mean, it should have been plus here. So let me see what I'm saving in the operator. It should be button.text. And I can just debug this right now as well. So actually, in fact, as soon as it goes here, we can just check all of these values as what they are at the moment. So, if I just have 4, 5, 6, and 89, and I press on equal to, it's gonna show me every little value I have here. Locals. Okay, so it doesn't in my current object. Let's see if it shows me in the non-public members. I could just make them public and that would kind of help things apart, but okay. Anyway, I'm just gonna debug this a bit. That kind of seemed like an error that should not have happened, but well, things happen. So I'll just go back once, review all the different operators we have. It's weird because onClear kind of shouldn't. Yeah, it's still stuck at that, but anyway. Let me see if it's an error with just this specific operator or if it's going on somewhere else as well. So like suppose I have 89 and I have 65, it gives an error, which is kind of happening. If I have 23 minus 6, it also gives an error. So it seems like this is consistent over over our different of course our different operators here. So let's see where we kind of messed it up in the operator. Okay. So what's happening is it's adding the equal to sign to the operator as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add this here within our check if the state is 2, because only if from one our state is reached 2, as in we still have a second number left. Only in that case do we want it to store the operator there. So it was basically taking the operator as the equal to sign, which is the error that we were facing. So next up, what I'm gonna I believe this should fix that error here for us. So let me try running it now, and as soon as this runs here for us, I think we should be good to go now. So I'm just gonna add 7, 8 plus 22. That should be a simple calculation, and we get 100. That's awesome. That's great. I haven't worked on a fix here. This is something that I haven't yet done, but never mind. I can just add a check on if all we need to do here is if state equal to 3, just need to do an on clear here. So as soon as we probably run this should clear up stuff for us. I seem to get a warning here, and I realized that it might have saved the changes afterwards and not before. But anyway, we've got a functioning calculator at least with us, which is great. Yeah, it did save. Nice. This is Xamarin on Visual Studio. It's not Android. It's Visual Studio, which is nice. I like Visual Studio. I like working in this environment. So Let's click on the different numbers once. Let's just go 45 divided by 9 in this case. The value is correct. And now, okay, it's still not clearing it up. Never mind, I'm gonna look into this. We're gonna make sure this is sorted out. Let's just clear it up. 8 minus, I mean, 8 minus 6 should not have been an issue, but if it's 8 divided by 3, for example, yeah, then it gives a nice little value there. So our calculator seems to be working, which is awesome. And I just realized that, okay, so our state should have reset when it hit 3. State wasn't necessarily changing, so that is something I might have to look into because I'm not sure why that happened. Anyway, we have a functioning calculator now, which is great. It works. I'm just as surprised, but I'm so happy because I've never built a calculator or as an app before this. So, yeah, nice. It looks nice. It's cool. Now, anyway, that was a chunk of fun. I would love to know in the meantime if any of you have been building your solutions as well. And if so, I would absolutely love to check them out. Just give me a second. I'll take this off screen because we'll take a few of these solutions and then I'm also going to show you how you can take it up and go off to dev and submit it to dev post. So yeah, I'm going to put this code up on GitHub. It's going to be there for you to see. It's still not like perfect code. There's some things like that, that little one that we saw there, where it wasn't where it wasn't taking when it wasn't resetting that value. But yeah, this code I'll keep on my GitHub, so you can always take it from there. So I'll tell you what, I think I can go into how to submit this now, and then we can see um, like if anyone has built their own, then we can have you on screen as well and show it. So I'm just here on GitHub. I'm gonna create a new repo, calculator, MLH, init. Just so that's a little me thing that I do. And calculator build with Xamarin forms in MLH init. So I'm gonna keep it as a public repo. In the meantime, since I have my solution created already, I'm not gonna add any of these, and I'm gonna create my repository. That was simple enough. So the next step, of course, is to keep to push this code. Now my Git, I think I'm just gonna create a Git repository here, and I'm gonna sign into GitHub. So because I have my GitHub account, of course. I just need to authorize it. Auto application authorized. That's great. That's great. So this way I can just directly push it here as well. And I'm gonna change the repository. It's a different repository that we're using. So I'm just gonna take the repository name from here. It already exists, so it should be okay to create. Existing remote. Yeah, that's what I need. I was just gonna create a new one altogether. So I'm just gonna copy the remote from here once, and I'll add my URL, create and push. And it's loading for me. It's loading for me. Oh, it's writing, and Visual Studio is cool this way because of course I can just make any changes and directly push and pull, fetch all of that from here, and I can see my entire tree. Even if there are any pull requests, if there are any branches, I can check all of those out. So it's quite comfy. It's nice to work with. And in the meantime, as I reload, the project is up there, which is awesome. It's great. And the best part is, if you look at it right now, it created a git ignore for me itself. So, my build files and release files, the unnecessary ones, none of that is going along. All of that, it's nice, it's clear. Like, had it not been, you would have seen a bin and an OBJ folder there, which is full of your binaries. So the next step, of course, is to submit it on dev post. For that, I'm gonna do one thing. I'm gonna go over back to the init page, and on the init page, the next thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna scroll down to our day one dev post. And it's a good thing I'm logged in already. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna join my hackathon. To join the hackathon, we're working solo here. I got to know from Major League Hacking, which is awesome. Keep the website here for now. My DevPost account wasn't specifically for init. Um, let's just say I am an MLHer. And yeah, I agree with the eligibility requirements and the rules. So I'm going to register now and create a project. If you want to build, I'm going to show you how you can do that in a bit as well, just after this. I guess that's a good query. So although it's a little buggy, which is why I hadn't done that yet. But let's just say um, calculator, and I'll just add MLH in it. So my pitch is calculator made during MLH in it session. I'm just keeping this as is for now. Save and continue. We've got my elevator pitch here. I mean, it doesn't have much of a story, to be honest. But I'm just gonna add little detail. Cross platform calculator app with basic arithmetic functions. And in how we built, and what all I'm gonna say is it was built using Xamarin forms. So I'm just gonna keep this short and simple for now. Now, among all of these, you don't have to fill all of these. That's just my habit. But whenever you're submitting, make sure that you add the GitHub link here. And if you have any recording that you're making or something like that, you can do that as well. That's totally on you. Your call. You can add the video demo directly here, but that's not mandatory. You should still, however, add a GitHub link. And that's for all of these submissions. So, once that is done, you can make a selection for which challenge this is a part of. And in this case, it's a part of the build a calculator challenge. So I'm going to select that and save and continue. And once again, selecting, agreeing to the TNCs, and I submit my project. So that's how easy it is. Amazing. And, the project is submitted, and, you can keep editing it till end of day. So I'm going to throw this link here in the chat for you as well. Feel free to go ahead and submit this. Also, for the person who was asking how you can make an APK out of this, so let me just go back here. What happens is, although my ID probably is already set up for this, all you need to do is go ahead and archive it. Before that, it's a good idea, change it to release, and it's going to rebuild it for release, and then you archive the application. Essentially, that's what you do. So when you archive it, it creates an APK, a signed APK for you. And you can distribute it via an ad hoc mode. For iOS, of course, you need to push it to the App Store. I don't have an iOS device, so I can't test that. Android, I have done this. I've archived it. I have tried that in the past for other solutions. So you can archive it from here directly to share among your friends, and you can keep it in your GitHub releases, in the releases in your GitHub as well. So yeah, that was the solution that we had, and I think that was fun. Now I see that we have one person who shared a link. So if you would like to hop on, if you're still there, Vedant Palekar, and you want to share your project, if you hop on, just mention a hi here in the chat, and I'll send over the StreamYard link. Because I think if you've got your project ready, then that's amazing. Even if you're not there, totally all right, not an issue. But if you are, I'd love to have you on. No worries. But do go ahead, do share it around on your Twitter. Um, do get feedback from folks because it's great that you've gone ahead and you've already built it alongside in this session, and Vedant has done it as well, which is great. So um, I can try and open up Vedant and um, Vedant. We've got two Vedants. Wow, that's that's definitely something. I'll tell you what. I'll open up both of these links that we have here. So the first is a bit of a thing to type, but I'm gonna get through this. Unruffled Einstein. That sounds fun. Zero dot amplify dot. Oh, Vedant Palekar has built a React app, and we have Vedant Kakde as well. I'm gonna open up his calculator as well. I'm gonna bring those up on screen, so you all can check out the work that they've done, and that's great that you've built it along during the session and you're comfortable enough sharing it. That's awesome. So, oh, these are nice. Let me share my screen once. Sharing once again. I'm bringing up the. So Vedant Palekar here has built a nice calculator with a retro feel. It's got trigonometric functions as well, which is awesome. You know, let's just see if it works. And of course, I'm sure it must. It definitely does. And next up, we can try one of these functions as well. So I'm just gonna go ahead, sine 60. Ooh, might be something you want to check out, maybe, or maybe it might just be that. 1 second, okay, so like the trigonometric functions you might want to check out once, but I like the UI. I like what you've done with that. Try and make this website a responsive one so that for a desktop browser versus a mobile one, you can have a different experience. And what is graph here? And anyway, I see that what you might be trying to go ahead with, and I will recommend you keep building on this because this looks really cool and it can be a great solution. And second up by Vedant Kakre. Oh, nice. I see the Windows 11 background. I really like these. And I like this UI. Let's see what. Ooh, that looks cool. I do have a recommendation on the dark mode. Try making these white. I think that might look nice. And I see what I messed up there. I'll go back to the other solution and try the sign functions with brackets. But like if I just try this and I 7 mod 9, let's see what we get. We get a 7, obviously that kind of makes sense. 7 mod 3 gives a 1. It works. And 7 divided by 8. 7 mod 7 by 8. Never mind. but like great work there. I think it looks really nice, and I think I'm gonna go back and see because like apparently it's supposed to be with the with the brackets. So I'm gonna try zero point 0.7 like this, and ooh, maybe it's just like something that I think if it's been changed, then it might just work. Anyways, never mind. It's still amazing, and you can keep working at it and trying it out. Great, great work, both of you. I think these look fantastic. Do make sure to submit these and get those points for yourself. But yeah, that was, I guess that's it for this session, folks. I thank you so much for staying around, hanging on. I think I had a ton of fun building this calculator. This is actually the first time I've ever built a calculator, so I think that was fun. And for those of you who tried out Xamarin, I'm telling you, .NET, Xamarin, C Sharp, they're all very cool. So I will highly urge you to keep working and building with this, and you're gonna have a ton of fun. So yeah, thank you so much for joining in, everyone. Do stay safe, stay healthy, and stay active in it. It's got some amazing sessions. We also have the leaderboard update coming up, and that is the first leaderboard update. So you're gonna get to see some, where we're all standing, all of our different guilds. Um, so, do join in for that. That's going to be a ton of fun. And the session will be up on YouTube. So you can always go ahead and check it out there. I'll do one thing. I'll hop over and I'm just going to send the link for you to you as well. 12th and you've built this calculator. That's really cool. Well done. I honestly didn't know anything until probably a year and a half or 2 years after. So if you're already building this stuff, that's really nice. And for me as well, if you want to stay in touch with me, you can always reach out to me on Twitter. Um, Make sure that you stay, you go ahead and you post, because posting on socials do have their own points for the guilds and in the leaderboard as well. And for this particular one, there will be a deadline to submit on DevPost for the day one deadline. So make sure that for this one you have to submit on DevPost and make sure you do it before the leaderboard update, because there will be a deadline. The deadline is up there. You can see it on the INIT on the DevPost. So it's gonna let you know how many hours there are left. And yeah, in this case, it's about an hour probably, because I'm the leaderboard update, I believe, would be the deadline. So that is when you would have to finish it. And if any of you want the recording, just give me a minute. I'm just gonna hop over to YouTube and get that link for you, to make sure that if any of you wanna have a look at it, you can go over this video at any point of time. I have it here. And looks like in the meantime, we have another calculator. So I'm gonna bring that up as well since we're on stream. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. Oscar, are you a Spider-Man fan by any chance? Because if you are, nice play there. And this is a nice, really nice calculator. I like the background there, and I think it's a really cool design. Let's see if this works, and I'm sure it would. 79 multiplied by. And I really like what you did up there. That was really cool. And this is gone a step ahead as well from a basic calculator. We're directly adding those up there. So amazing. That it looks really nice. Well done. Yeah, this is nice to play around with. Cool. Cool stuff. Well done. Okay, then. I guess we're now ready to close the session. Thank you so much to all of you for hanging on, joining in, and do stay safe, stay healthy, and keep hacking. We're gonna have some amazing stuff happening throughout the weekend, throughout this week, not just the weekend, throughout this entire week. So do stay active, and I look forward to meeting you all again day after tomorrow. See ya. Bye bye.